Heyo! Welcome back. Another video from you. This one's from last week at the game shop at Raven's Nest Games in Marietta, Georgia. Just on, well, one of the suburbs of Atlanta, I guess. It's the best way to describe it. One of those reasonably sized towns that got eaten up by a big city. Today, David, am again running. This is the second round of a 3-round matchup. There were 8 players at the store, so just enough to do Swiss. And we got to play against most of the people in the store, so this is pretty fun. I'm playing against Michael. He's he's better at Netrunner than I am. Usually he organizes the tournament and then for us, just casual play. And he usually cleans up pretty well. It's not unusual for him to take all the games that he plays. I think he's had years of experience with card games, and I think he's just an exceptional player. I think the competition at the store is really quite good. Most of the players are really interesting netrunners, and I really enjoy playing with them. So I'm starting out against Jinteki. White Tree, Replicating Perfection is really rough. Just, I don't know, I've played against this deck previously, or a deck similar to it, and it's really rough. The last time I played it, he top decked the agendas he needed straight off, and that was it. He went through agenda points. So this time I'm really feeling the pressure. I want to run on him frequently. Don't be terribly afraid of face checking, and I want to kind of try to prevent him from scoring so quickly. So I'm drawing heavily, and I'm looking for a way to set up my rig. I think setting up a rig and getting enough credits to really be able to overdraw and throw away Morningstar and Retrieval Run it is a good way to play this. I added more Retrieval Run. I think I have 1 or 2 in this deck, and so it's a much cheaper way to get it into play. I start with John Masanori. I'm not terribly worried about tag punishment. That may be a bad idea. I've played against Michael before, and he's splashed closed accounts and the likes of HB. Totally unexpected, no other way of really tagging, and it's a weird include, and it worked so well. Really, really pretty clever deck builder, and so yeah. So I'm running John Masanori just to increase my card draw. Against Jinteki, even if I do get tagged, I just like having a little bit extra card draw. It also means when I access after a successful run, even if I took damage along the run, I can kind of shake off some of that damage and have my hand increased. It gives me a bit more flexibility during the run. I'm looking to use quality time to get the cards that I'm looking for. I think it's a pretty good include in this deck, especially since it's a relatively rich Anarch. So he's installed a remote, and he's protected it. He's sitting on quite a bit of money. Makes me a little bit nervous. Not really sure what sort of ice I'm going to see. If he's stockpiling that much money, makes me a little bit afraid he's going to be running the really nasty ice. I try to run on a remote. I forget that I'm running White Tree. So I run HQ instead, and it's a Neural Katana. So I plow through that. I overdrew this hand, and so I let him discard. Oh no! There goes quest completed, a Parasite, and a Retrieval Run. Those are the 3 cards that I really would like for him to not have gotten rid of. Oh no! And there's a Fetal AI, so 2 more net damage. And again, he pulls from the middle. I probably should shuffle my cards before I let him. And there's the Morning Star in Cyber Solutions. So now I'm down 2 mem chips. I believe I discarded already. I'm down the Morningstar. I wouldn't have minded losing the Morningstar to damage, but what I really mind losing is Retrieval Run. Now I don't really have a good way of getting Morningstar in the deck. My other copy of Retrieval Run, who knows where it is. I would really prefer to use that to get Yogg into play as well. And it also gives me a lot more flexibility with Overdraw if I know I can Retrieval Run when I need the programs, or before he puts Ice over Archives. So, not off to a great start. This deck, the Scorp deck really puts the tax on you, and it's also super rich. I discard Plascrete. The local casual play, there's no big proponent of Wayland. I was starting to get a little bit tired of the Plascrete. Now here I see he's installed a second card on that remote, which really tells me that the first card was probably an upgrade. So I Queen's Gambit. So he could be really bluffing here, but my guess is that the first card is certainly not a upgrade. Or the first card is certainly not an agenda. The second card might be an asset, but I don't feel bad about Queen's Gambiting for the money. And since I'm down on the luck, as it were, I don't mind taking a bit of an extra risk. I run on R&D, don't see anything. John Masanori for a draw. John really kind of gives a lot of click compression. Quite valuable against Jinteki. I install Yogg out of hand. I'm not really sure why I did that. I think it was the only breaker in my hand and I wanted to install something with all the money I had. So a third card gets installed. Oh boy. So the first 2 cards are probably upgrades. Not really sure about that. The second card's probably also an upgrade. Could be a Caprice Nisei. Could be Hokusai Grid. Don't really know. That server's pretty nasty now. I want to know what it is. Hang on. Thinking of another turn. Install medium, run archives. It's an Eli. I choose to click through it because with John Masanori, it's draw a card and have a successful run and a counter on medium, or take a tag and see nothing. So he scores Brain Trust, going low on the credits, but he's got that nice taxing ice on R&D. I have a Parasite in hand. I don't want to wait for Eli, and I don't really want to wait for the Neural Katana either. So I'm going to save that for a big ice and get the strength down so I can be sure that I can break it. I've lost 1 copy of Nerve Agent, so I'm not thinking HQ is great. So I Retrieval Run to get my Morningstar into play. Now, unfortunately, I'm up to 4 MU, and this ends up being a problem for the at this point. I've lost 2 out of 4 of my cards that give me MU, and I've not gotten anywhere closer to seeing the Grimoire that I need. I lost both Cyber Solution Min chips due to damage or discard, and now I have 2 Grimoire left in the deck, and I haven't seen them. So, can't get into HQ. I can get into R&D for pretty cheap. Installing Morningstar, though, took me down to 2 credits. And there it goes. Yeah, the moment you get through that tax ice, second piece of ice gets installed in front of it. He's still pretty low on credits. I shouldn't feel dangerous about running, but I'm looking at that Data Sucker in my hand. I'm looking at that Parasite in my hand. I'm like, oh man. MU. Can't do anything about the MU. So I draw. Sure gamble. Not terribly useful at 2 credits. I'm feeling the pressure. So I spend 3 clicks to gain 3. I want to use Sure Gamble. I discard. Oh, it looks like a bishop to me. I had 1 bishop in the deck. I had intended for it to be 2 liberated accounts. Made a mistake, forgot to switch them out. I've really found that Data Suckers really pretty much carries the deck for fixed breakers. I thought when I was building the deck and I was looking at fixed breakers, I was thinking, this deck looks pretty good, but man, what do I do if I run against a Hadrian's Wall or Heimdall? But when I'm actually playing it, for the most part, it doesn't matter. Those ice only show up in particular decks, and even when they do, Data Suckers and Parasites is more than enough. Data Suckers to destroy if you happen to be able to afford it, or just Parasite to get them in strength to be broken. If it's low enough strength, I can break it for 1 with Morningstar. I don't even really need to worry about it. Ice Carver makes things a lot easier. I install it for 3. I want to face check and not plow into something I can't break. I'm not terribly worried about the Morningstar being high enough strength. For the most part, Heimdall and Wotan and Hadrian's are the only cards that really get any play that are above strength. It's really the code gates. I think Yogg with a -1 strength on the ice really performs quite well. I think if people include code gates that aren't super cheap, like Enigma or Quandary, they tend to include code gates that are at least 4 strength, and often exactly at 4 strength. So here I Queen's Gambit the new card, and that is a misplay. Yeah, there was no reason to not Queen's Gambit the same card up to 6 tokens, and I get called out on this, and I'm sure you could feel welcome to do the same. I thought it was a Jackson Howard, to be honest, and he was counting on me not feeling confident to run against it. That's fine. The unfortunate thing about Queen's Gambit, when you mess it up like I did, is that man, it gives them 2 free clicks and 3 free credits at the minimum, and it may mean that they can over advance something like a Brain Trust, or an Atlas, or a Vitruvius, and that's no fun. Or, God forbid, an Astroscript, or a Project Wheel, I guess. So I install the Parasite, and I don't have enough MU. And thankfully it's a casual setting. Something about this deck, well, really, I think playing against Michael makes me nervous. Making more errors as runner than I would really like to. I take it back. I feel really dumb. Yeah. So now I'm like, well, crap. I have to search for my MUs. I'm not going to be able to get anywhere. So I play Queen's Gambit on the correct card this time, taking it up to 6 advancements, and I believe I draw. Yeah. So yeah, big mistake there. I should have put all 9 credits on that single token, or the single card. Lesson learned, I guess. If they don't immediately advance it and score it, then it's probably not an agenda, and just double down on it. Kind of the way it goes, I guess. So there's the Jackson. That's what I thought it was. Drawing 2. He's looking for the last points to win the game, I think. Running Sundew instead. That server's pretty well protected. So the way he's playing makes me think he doesn't have any easily scoreable agendas. Or probably not any agendas at all. Why would he install Sundew in a super server and a Jackson Howard and draw? I run archives. It's a shock. I let him discard. It's a parasite. Well, there's that card. I guess I never got to play it. I draw one with John Masanori, unless I forget. I run on the remote. So let's see what we see. He's trying to figure out what he wants to do. He reses Caprice and does not res the ice. So I can bid here, and I've got plenty of credits. He's got plenty of credits. So we're going to bid and see what happens. I'm not super interested in getting in the server. I pay 1. He pays 0. So and I put the credit back at first, forgetting that the bids that you put on Caprice are paid permanently. And I think that's pretty significant. I mentioned this in my last video, but the effect of Caprice Nisei's bid is not independent of the rest of the game state. We both had plenty of money. And in the case where you both have plenty of money, then there are other ways to kind of deal with that type of scenario with Nisei. When one player has very little money and the other player has plenty, especially if it's the corp, then the bidding is much more dynamic to the state of the game. So he does a celebrity gift. I see 2 snares and a Nisei, so that doesn't look terribly appetizing. Especially after a Neural Katana, I don't have any way of breaking without discarding an essential program. I am still drawing. I'm looking for that Grimoire. I draw Levy AR. I'm thinking I'll just keep drawing and look for that particular card, and then I'll be fine. I'll Levy AR and I'll be back in the game, and it won't matter what cards I discard here. So I draw. Can't find it. Can't find the Grimoire. I'm really squirming in my seat. I want to install the Mimic. I want to install the Grimoire. I want to have my rig set up. I want to I want to be able to really put pressure on his super server here. He's not even having to res his ice. I think the mistake at this point in the game that I'm really making and is that I have a medium. I should just check to see what that front ice is on R&D. Even if it's a damage dealing piece of ice, I can still get in for a credit, probably. And I've got a virus counter on medium. I know he's drawn 1 shock. He's got at least 2 snares in HQ. I really don't have much to worry about in an R&D dig. I should be running once per turn. I should have checked the ice on R&D. So a bit of a mistake there. I'm drawing. I'm down to like 3 or 4 cards now, and I have 2 copies of Grimoire in the deck, both that I own. And finally, I find it. There's 2 cards left on R&D, and I don't know what happened. Just abysmally bad draw. What are you gonna do? I mean, even if I had search cards, that wouldn't help, right? It's hardware. There's no way to go and search for those cards yet. I think we might see a chip search one day, searching for chip subtype, but we just haven't seen it yet. So I'm sitting on a Grimoire, a Mimic, a Levy AR, and I'm thinking, oh, well, maybe I can pull this out and still afford a Levy AR. But then he installs and he advances. He's sitting on 4 points right now. I know it's probably a Project Nisei. If he scores the Project Nisei, the special end the run means that I can't do anything. He'll probably be able to score the final points that he needs to win the game. So this is that match point that Jiteki puts you in that is unfortunate. Just not a position that I want to be in. So install. I check R&D. Finally, I think, well, maybe I can slow him down, right? I pay 1 to break. He doesn't res. I access 2, I believe. And what do I see? Oh no, it's Beetle AI. So there goes 2 cards. Well, my 1 copy of Levy AR is gone. I'm down to 2 cards left on my stack. And I didn't see another agenda, so I'm like, oh crap. Run that server. Let's do it. Let's see what's in there. Let's see what happens. I've got a Mimic on the table. I've got an Ice Carver. I can pretty much check anything, and I don't have much to worry about, right? Well, no. It's a Shinobi, and its base strength is 5. That card, it's easy to forget about and easy to overlook because the traces are so weak. And it's illicit. But it deals 6 damage. He only needed to beat me on the trace 2 for 2 damage. And he had 2 opportunities to trace me and flatline me. So it's a flatline loss. Yeah, I played this one pretty poorly. But there's some interesting points to it, and I hope you enjoy it. So that's it.
Yeah, whenever I can check, yeah, I just kind of, I know I don't need this right